Well, week 4 of the college football season is here, and SEC play about to begin for the Auburn Tigers. They will hit the road Saturday, a trip to Kyle Field in College Station as Texas A&M welcomes in Hugh Freeze, and the Tigers looking to stay perfect on the year. Auburn currently 3-0, A&M 2-1. Cole Kublik, Simone Eli. We're going to break everything down as we enter week 4 of the college football season. Let's go head to head. Welcome into Head to Head. Cole, excited to be chatting with you again this week. It was a fun week of college football. The Auburn Tigers improved to 3-0 with a dominant win over Samford. And let's just jump right in. It seems like this team really started to figure some things out offensively. If we're talking about the 2-quarterback system, and I think that's maybe how Hugh Freeze wanted things to look the week before. It seemed to be going well.
Yeah, I think you're still going to keep 2 quarterbacks playing situationally, just not rotationally. And Robbie Ashford too explosive to not be a part of this offense, a part of this football team, and mainly to force defenses to prepare for it and then have to defend it. But I think what Peyton Thorne showed you this past week is if you don't respect it and you don't defend it just because he's in the game, they're going to take it and they can still capitalize on it and make you pay. So I do think a lot of times in these lettuce games, as I call them, Simone, these non-conference games, you use these games to set other things up. If you went back and watched LSU against Grambling, you would see them force feed Malik Neighbors early. You'd see Harold Perkins at the line of scrimmage playing defense. And then those are 2 big factors as to why they beat Mississippi State. Florida, when they played McNeese, they focused on the run game and they went out and ran the football. They could have let Graham Mertz pitch it around and have fun and the receivers get involved. But no, they knew they needed to get back to what they were. I think you saw a little bit of that in this game against Samford for Hugh Freeze and this Auburn offense. Coach Montgomery calling a lot of plays quickly out to the perimeter. So some catch and run is maybe where they think they can get Texas A&M in this game. I also think, like you said, Peyton Thorne being able to keep the football a little bit, saying, hey, if you're going to attack the mesh and you're not going to respect it out there in the flat, our guy can at least take it ahead for 6 or 10 yards, and we'll continue moving the chains that way. We don't really care.
Did you feel like the offensive line, a unit that we've talked about every single week when it comes to this team, showed improvement? Or did you see more from them than maybe what you felt like 2 weeks ago against Cal?
A little bit more continuity, and you had a couple guys banged up, so it was hard to keep that for the entire game. Cam Stutz and Xavier Miller both dinged up during that game, but I was glad to see Jeremiah Wright back in the lineup. He's someone who I think has a little more brute force than anybody else in that group, maybe outside of Dylan Wade. Like he can be a glass eater, and he's maybe a little bit out of shape, a little bit overweight, and struggling with the new system, but he's a guy who could really help Auburn down the stretch. And so good chance you'll see him some this weekend against Texas A&M, and you'll need it because this defensive line is going to be very different. But overall continuity I thought was a little bit better, and you didn't turn as many guys free, which is always a win.
Yeah, Cole, I want to talk about the Auburn defense. You can't talk about the defense right now without talking about some injuries that they're battling as well. We got some news from Coach this week that Keontae Scott is going to be out for a good amount of time, the Auburn corner. How concerned are you when it comes to maybe certain spots being a little thin when it comes to depth due to injury?
Well, Keontae's a good player, and he's a versatile player, so you're a little concerned there, especially with Nehemiah Pritchett being questionable. I think what you look at now is how many different guys can play different spots for you. And it's a defense that almost asks for versatility by structure. But when you lose a couple of those players, then you don't become as multiple as what you can run. So it is concerning. This is a really good receiver core, too. Evan Stewart's one of the best receivers in college football. You got some younger guys for A&M that are coming on. Obviously, Moose Muhammad can make plays. Jake Johnson had a good game last week at tight end. So coverage is going to be critical in multiple spots in this game. So, and Connor Wigman's playing great football. A&M's quarterback is just – he's been fantastic.
I do want to go back to last year's Texas A&M, Cole, because you were on the field for really was a historic moment for Auburn. As Cadillac Williams, got his first win as the interim coach. I know that as a former teammate, that meant a lot to you. And just how pivotal was that win, just for the hope, so to speak, for this Auburn fan base when it came to what it was like to that point in the year, and really over the last year and a half prior to that?
I think it was critical because it showed a lot of people what Auburn could be and was still capable of being. To have that, I mean, I can remember vividly, Damian Craig's on that A&M staff, and he got into the stadium. I wanted to get there early, and I did. And he's doing his lap around the field as he first got there, and he sees me, and he walks over, and he said, "Man," he's like, "the student section's already full." And I said, "This place is going to be full tonight, and it's going to be loud." And it was. And I think it showed everybody just what the Auburn family was capable of. And I think that helped. Not that I think that the university really needed to be sold to Hugh Freeze, but I think it made it more attractive to him. It made it more attractive to some other potential coaches. Obviously, I think for John Cohen and that administration at that time to be able to go to some of the people that are involved from an alumni standpoint, from a booster standpoint, and then obviously from name, image, and likeness standpoint with the collective, they're able to generate a lot of interest and a lot more money, which is always great. So it was huge to be able to show just exactly what it could be, what it was, and that support was still there.
Yeah, it was super, super special. I went back and watched the video this week, and it was very, very cool for Auburn fans and just for the Auburn faithful. When I think about this game, Cole, the word opportunity comes to mind because I feel like there's a huge opportunity for Auburn to go on the road in one of the biggest stadiums in college football. It's a crazy environment, even if Texas A&M isn't this upper echelon team. But I also feel like it's a huge opportunity for Hugh Freeze, now back into the SEC, to go in and to, be head-to-head with a guy who's won a national title, who's had success in and outside of the SEC. When you think about it from that perspective, what comes to mind just with Hugh Freeze coming back into the league now?
Yeah, he's done this before. He's been the underdog before in this league. He's found ways to win games that people didn't think he could win, or that he was the underdog in, not favored to win. So I think that could show you that he still has that capability in this league, and it'll show from a schematic standpoint why he's so difficult to defend. We had Jeff Collins, former Mississippi State and Florida defensive coordinator, Georgia Tech head coach, on our show in Birmingham today, and he was talking about Hugh Freeze as being one of the most difficult play callers he's ever gone against. And I understand that Coach Montgomery does most of the play calling, but the system will be designed in harmony, and it will still be that difficult to defend because of the things that they pose. Yeah. So I think you show that you're capable of going into a hostile environment, motivating your guys, coaching your guys up to have a plan in place that, let's just be honest, Simone, can defeat a team that's more talented than you. This A&M roster is more talented than the Auburn roster right now. It doesn't mean they're going to win. It doesn't mean that they should win, but they're going to be favored to win mainly because of that. They have more guys that are going to play football on Sundays right now than Auburn does. That's why Hugh and his staff are recruiting the way that they are. But to be able to go into a place like that against a talented roster like that and find a way to win, I think it would be – he doesn't need a stamp of approval for being back, but I think it would show a lot of people, hey, this is why we hired him, because we knew this is what he was capable of. That's a really good way to put that, stamp of approval. This is a great segue, the comment you just made regarding going back to Hugh Freeze's Monday press conference. He straight up was asked about the Aggies defensive line and just the Aggies defense in general being so good on third down. I think it ranked third in the nation or something on third down defense. And he straight up said, listen, people have recruited at a higher level than Auburn. They have better recruits. We're going to get there. It doesn't mean we can't win the game, but that's just how it is really for our next three opponents. As we know, Georgia comes to town next week. So, but I feel like that's not only the right answer. I think it's a good answer to be able to say, hey, yeah, they do have better dudes right now, but we're going to get there. But it doesn't mean we can't compete. No, and I think that's too. You use that to motivate your players. Hey, these guys had more stars than you. A lot of teams didn't want you guys compared to how many wanted them. Not a lot of people think you can win this game. All that comes into play to be able to say, they don't think you can do it. We do. And this is why. And then you present your plan to those players and why it can be successful. So I thought it was a good answer. I thought it was a smart answer and an honest answer. If there's one thing about Coach Freeze since he's taken over that I have picked up on is that he has been beyond honest in almost every situation that's come up and been posed to him that he could have given you coach speak. He usually will go out of his way to be honest about certain things. And some people – it's kind of rubbed them the wrong way or haven't liked it or wondered why he did it. And I think it's just that. I think it's transparency. I think transparency from a head coach is more important in today's college football than ever before. Yeah. Auburn and Texas A&M's schedules this year have some similarities in terms of their opponent to this point. A Power 5 opponent, a couple of teams like the lettuce games, as you called them. I'm not really sure what that means. I'm going to have to ask you later, but I like that. I like that reference. The Aggies lose to Miami in week 2. They come back and they dominate Louisiana Monroe at home. They're 7.5-point favorites. How challenged do you think this Auburn defense will be by this Aggies offense that has had some success, a lot of success, I should say, in the first 3 weeks? Yeah, very much so. This will be up front from a defensive line standpoint. It'll be the toughest test this Auburn offensive line has faced. Shamar Turner's playing out of his mind. You'll see number 5 for Texas A&M make plays off the edge, outside of a tackle, inside lined up on a center or guard. He can strike and shed and play the run. He can rush the passer. He can bend. He's flexible. He's big. He's physical. He's one of the best defensive players in college football right now. And they have 2 or 3 others that are almost as talented as he is. it does drop off a little bit the deeper you get on this football team. So second and third level, not as talented as the defensive line. Doesn't mean they don't have any players back there, but just it's not what the front is. Auburn has to manage that front to find success in this game. And I think that's going back to what we said about the Samford game. Some of the quick throws, quick ball distribution, not just to get the ball in space. I don't think A&M tackles very well on the perimeter.
Yeah.
They also don't cover extremely well on the perimeter. So you're setting up some throws down the field if you can attract those safeties up and maybe get some one-on-ones. Because I don't think Auburn will have a ton of success running between the tackles in this game. So you use that as an extension of your run game. I think you'll see that. I think you'll see tempo, not only get those D linemen running to the sideline, but get them lined back up and have to play another play as quickly as you can. Those are going to be some things that you want to do to try to neutralize what A&M has up front. But if the Auburn receivers can do anything close to what they did last week, making the kind of plays they did down the field, there is room for success for Peyton Thorne and company.
Cole, always appreciate your insight and in-depth analysis. Of course, you can listen to Cole on SEC Network, ESPN as well, WJOX, and your podcast currently, Cube Show, where you break everything down with college football. Here on Head to Head, we always have our predictions, and it's prediction time, so let's get right to it. Cole, I'm going to let you go first. Auburn starts off SEC play on the road in a difficult environment that Texas A&M can be. How do you feel like this thing is going to end up on Saturday?
Yeah, it's a tough place to play. I've called a couple of games out there, and I've heard how loud it can get. I know how raucous it can be. I don't think Auburn can replicate a lot of what Miami did defensively. It was a very aggressive plan. Now, from that standpoint, they could if they wanted to. I don't think Coach Roberts gets that aggressive, but Miami has a lot more speed at the second level and up front on their defensive line, and I think that's one of the reasons they were able to attack Connor Wigman the way that they did. I think up front it's going to be a long day for Auburn. This Texas A&M offensive line is pretty physical, pretty big. I like their running backs. I like the creativity in the run game that Bobby Petrino has implemented. I just think it's going to be too much at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. I think Auburn will give up a couple of big plays down the field. I think Auburn will most likely find a couple of big plays, but I don't think the run game consistently will go. That's going to prevent some of the tempo. It's going to prevent a little bit of play action. It's going to give DJ Durkin some advantages on that side of the ball. I think 28-21, Texas A&M gets the win. I do think that it's the first SEC for both teams, so you probably see them throttle down early. Don't come out of the gate super aggressive, but they will get a couple of explosives. I just don't know if Auburn has enough to go grab this game in the trenches right now.
I'm not trying to be like you, but I have 28-21 Texas A&M as well. I literally actually have it on my iPad. You just make up your scores, but I wrote that one down. So I'm gonna have to agree with you on that 28-21. I do think that there's still some things offensively that Auburn's looking to work out. They had success against Samford. I think everyone knew that was going to be an inferior opponent. The concerns that they had on the road at Cal kind of still are in the back of my mind, at least a little bit. And like, okay, what practice-wise has happened between now and then to work that out? I think that we're going to have a lot of answers. I think there's, like I said, huge opportunity for Auburn from the head coach to the entire team, opening SEC play and being undefeated. I think that all of that is huge. Check all of those boxes, but I do think it's going to be a tough game. I like 28-21 Aggies. We will see how things end up at 11 a.m. Saturday. Cole, before we go, where will you be this weekend?
I will be in Columbia, South Carolina, Mississippi State. The Bulldogs visit the Gamecocks, 6:30 p.m. on the SEC Network Saturday night. Somebody's got to win. That's the good news. Yeah. Someone will win the game.
No doubt. All right, Cole Kublik.
Do you want to know what a lettuce game is?
Yeah, I do, actually. Do you mind telling me?
So everybody references that the second to last weekend of the season, specifically in the SEC, is Cupcake Week and Cupcake Weekend. The problem is cupcakes are good. We want those games to go away, right? We don't like those games. So we want those games to be gone. Everybody likes cupcakes, and everybody would welcome more cupcakes in their life. Sure. Well, what's one thing you never ask for more of if you order a sandwich or a burger or a salad? Nobody ever says, load up the lettuce. Hey, give me more lettuce. Hey, can I have a side of lettuce with that? Nobody ever asked for that.
You're right.
So these are extra things that we don't want more of. Therefore, I reference them as lettuce games.
Lettuce games. I'm going to use that. I love that. Really, really good analysis and a really, really good point. I would definitely take a cupcake over lettuce any day for sure. But you, however, you're fit and you're on a diet, so I feel like you would probably go with lettuce.
I probably still need more lettuce, but yeah.
All right, Cole Kublik, we appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to Head to Head. I want to quickly thank our sponsor, Alabama Cattlemen's Association, for bringing us on every single week. We will see you next week after Auburn takes on the Aggies in College Station and then prepare for the two-time defending national champs, Georgia. Guys, have a great day.
Brought to you by Alabama Beef Farmers and Ranchers.